Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of pewterreport.com. It is a special Tuesday edition of the Pewter Report podcast. We don't typically do a show on Tuesday, but with the Bucs playing on Thursday, we are changing everything around just a little bit. And the Bucs probably want to change things around as well since they've lost 2 in a row. So today's episode is all about Bucs versus Bills and their big-time Thursday night matchup. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at pewterreport.com, SR Scott Reynolds. And Scott, it was a busy day at the Advent Health Training Center today.
It was.
We spoke to Dave Canales, Baker Mayfield, Larry Foote, and, of course, everybody in the locker room as well. And we learned something about this team, mainly Antoine Winfield Jr. is taking action in his first year as a team captain. He actually had a speech that he gave to the team after their loss to the Falcons. Will it bode well for the Bucs against the Bills? Time will tell.
Yeah, good stuff from Antoine Winfield today and also after the game, right? He's one of those players that doesn't say a whole bunch, kind of like Lavonte David, but when he does talk, everyone listens, and that's important. And you know the best thing that Antoine Winfield Jr. is doing is he's playing with this with vigor and with energy, and he's letting his play do the talking more so than anything. He's having a fantastic contract year. Matt, it's one of those things that he's a great guy, right? I mean, he's always nice and accommodating, just a guy that like you can't help but root for just as a person, right? Yeah. And you want him to be successful. And then when you see him be successful, help the team, and also help himself in this contract year. Like, this is going to be a check that the Glazers, Jason Light, Mike Greenberg, Todd Bowles, they're going to be happy to cut, right? This is one of those things where it's like, and it's not always this way. Sometimes you have to stroke that check and it might be for a little too much, or, like you're signing it and you're like, we have to pay you because we're better off with you than without you. But this is one of those guys, man, the year he's having and the career he's had in Tampa Bay, that it's almost like you can't wait to sign him and just say, man, like you earned this. Here's the signing bonus and welcome back, And I think that's just a really good story. No matter how this Buccaneer season goes, Matt.
Yes.
Winfield's going to get paid. He's going to stay in red and pewter. And for the long term, that's going to be good for this organization.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see with specific players when they get into a contract year and they start playing their best football. And you could argue that Antoine Winfield Jr. is playing his best football of his career. Yeah. But there's a reason why, even before this season, we had talked about that the Bucs need to sign Antoine Winfield Jr. to a contract extension, because you can make the case that he earned that contract after his second year in the NFL. Like, that's how good of NFL player that he's been. And, there's that old saying, if you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. Well, Antoine Winfield Jr., again, with his speech and everything, is kind of doing it in reverse, because he had already been walking the walk. I mean, if there's anybody that can, and he's not finger pointing, he's not calling anyone out specifically, but if there's anyone that could say, hey, let's get our you-know-what together, let's pick it up, Antoine Winfield Jr. is the guy that can say it, because he's backed his play up more than anybody else on this roster, more than Mike Evans, more than even Tristan Wirfs to a degree. Yeah. And it's so funny that Winfield and Wirfs, they go hand in hand. They were the first 2 picks in the 2020 draft. They're both first-year captains and both obviously making a huge impact on this team. So, shout out to Antoine Winfield Jr. Shout out to the super chats that are starting to roll in, starting with Paul, a.k.a. Florida Dreamhouse. Appreciate you for the $2 super chat. It says, Matty Diamonds and SR, the voice of truth and reason. That's right. We call it like we see it. When the Bucs play well, we praise them for playing well. And when they play poorly, like they have the last 2 weeks, the offense specifically, Baker Mayfield specifically as well. I wrote about his inconsistency in our PR roundtable that dropped earlier this morning. We call it like we see it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's the only way we know how to do it. And, there's no sacred cows. We're going to get on Dave Canales when he deserves it. We're going to get on Devin White. We're going to get on Mike Evans when he drops the ball, Baker Mayfield when he throws interceptions. That's just how it is. But we appreciate the comment there and the trust from you guys, Pewter people. I was just thinking before we jumped on the air, just real quick, like I love doing the Pewter Report podcast with you, Matt, and Pewter people. Like, I love it. This is fun. This isn't work. This is fun. This is us
just having a chat.
What we learned from our sources at One Buccaneer Place, from the interviews on and off the record, and delivering it to you Pewter people, and hopefully entertaining you and making you more educated about the team that you guys love. It's an absolute joy. Like, this is like literally one of the best parts of my day. I can't wait for 4 o'clock to get here. It's so much fun. And this is not work. This is just an absolute blast. Eric, we appreciate the super chat. You guys think Vita Vea will play Sunday? We need him to. No, Vita Vea will not play on Sunday. The Bucs won't play, but he will play on Thursday. So, like I told you guys after the loss to the Falcons, the Bucs will not hurt you on Sunday. They won't hurt you. There's no game. So what I recommend is tape the game on Thursday night. That's an old expression from the 80s and 90s. Yeah. DVR the game, whatever you want to call it, like record the game, right? And if it's great, if they upset the Bills, which, you know what, on any given Sunday, right? We've seen enough upsets. We saw one last night, right? The Vikings and the 49ers. On any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever, right? It can happen. Tape the game, and then if they win, watch it again on Sunday, right? And enjoy your Sunday. Or don't, but they're not going to hurt you on Sunday. We'll see what happens on Thursday. I think Vita does play. The Bucs do need it. There's no doubt. He's one of their best players.
Yeah, I saw a great tweet today. It was about the brotherly shove by the Eagles, the tush push, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much unstoppable. But Vita Vea was the one guy that actually was able to stop the tush push. The whoever tweeted, the name is slipping me at the moment, so I apologize. But speaking of Vita Vea, we did have the injury report just come out a little bit ago. And I was at practice earlier today. And just for everyone that's wondering, because it's a short week, today was just a walkthrough. The Bucs didn't even wear helmets at practice today. They didn't even wear their regular jerseys. They wore like a T-shirt. So Vita Vea was out there at practice, but we only saw special teams, and he was standing on the side. So it was tough to decipher whether or not he actually participated. But the injury report did come out today. Chase Edmonds was a full participation again for the second day in a row as he comes back from knee injury. Matt Filer, that's the big one that not controversial, but Bucs fans obviously are unhappy with the play of Matt Filer. He did not participate again for the second day in a row with a knee injury. Chris Godwin with a neck was limited today, so that's an upgrade from not participating on Monday. Baker Mayfield was upgraded as well. The knee injury, he was limited in participation. Yeah. Kayvon Merriweather had that special teams injury with an ankle, did not participate. And Vita Vea did not participate again for the second day in a row. Quickly, I'll go down the Bills one. Josh Allen, full. Terrell Bernard, full. Spencer Brown, full. Khair Elam, full. Dawson Knox, he did not participate. He's going to be out for a while and won't play in that game.
Yeah, he's got a wrist injury.
Yeah. Von Miller, limited. Quentin Morris did not participate. Ed Oliver, limited. Jordan Phillips, limited. And Baylor Spector did not participate as well. So, yeah, really the two big questions, I think, injury-wise going into this game is Matt Filer at offensive guard and Vita Vea, whether or not he'll play. And clearly the Bucs need Vita Vea a little bit more than they need Matt Filer, just based on Filer has played. And the backups around at offensive guard as well with Aaron Stinney and Nick Leverett. There are a number of ways to go for Tampa Bay in this match.
It kind of seemed like Tristan Wirfs spilled the beans a little bit, right?
He did.
He did. He pretty much said, well, he was talking about Filer, and the question was actually, the Bucs are the only offensive line to go through 6 games with the starting 5 intact. It hasn't been any shuffling due to injury or ineffectiveness or whatever. And Tristan said, well, that's true, and that helps us, but that's going to change this week, right? So he pretty much said that there's going to be a new left guard there. It might be Nick Leverett, right? It might be Leverett, who has played some center as well. He's the backup center. But you know what? I'm in favor of this. I wrote about it on the 2-point conversion. I wouldn't mind seeing Nick Leverett get in there. I think he's a bit of a spark plug. I think he sparked the team when he started against the Ravens. They lost that game, but I thought the left guard position played better when he was in there for Luke Gedeke last year, who really struggled. And it's either going to be him or it's going to be Aaron Stinney, right? And we saw what Stinney did in the Super Bowl season, stepping in and probably playing a little bit above his ability, but he didn't prove to be a weak link on that offensive line and helped the Bucs win a Super Bowl. So looks like Filer is going to be out this week, and then they're going to have an opportunity to see somebody else in there. And you know what? I know that coaches don't like to make changes due to injury. Like you shouldn't lose your starting job because of injury. At the same time, man, you got to play the best player. Yeah. And if Nick Lever can get in there and get more push off the line than Filer can, if he's better in pass protection, and he might have his hands full, right? Because the Bills defensive line, there are no slouches there. I mean, you got Greg Rousseau at one end, you've got Von Miller at the other, you've got Ed Oliver, who's questionable with an injury, but he's a first round pick. He's better than most at defensive tackle. Tim Settle, so they got some talent there. But it's going to be interesting to see if the level of play at left guard, if it's elevated or if it declines with a new player in there.
And Von Miller just only came back a couple of weeks ago, so he's getting himself more into game shape, which is pretty dangerous for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it also wouldn't shock me if Aaron Stinney got the start, because I was remembering week 1, if you guys remember, Cody Mauch had that random back spasm flare up on Thursday and Friday, and Bowles had said if Mauch wasn't able to go, that Stinney probably, and I'm saying quotations, probably would start at guard. Again, this is week 1, and things can change from then. But Mauch ended up playing in the game, so we never got an answer to that. So it would not shock me either if Aaron Stinney did get that start. We got a super chat from Matt, Bucs fan. Thanks for the $5 super chat, Matt. Great name. Says, Canales and players still seem excited about the offensive scheme. Should we be hopeful, or is this just typical coaches, players rhetoric?
It's a work in progress. I tried to tell you guys. I wrote an SR's Fab 5 on it saying the 5 hard truths about this offense. It's a work in progress. The running game is not going to be fixed overnight. I went back and looked at it today. Dave Canales is going to struggle as a play caller. This should not come as a surprise to anybody. Hopefully, you would hope it would be better by now. I think we've seen some signs of life. That Saints game right now is kind of the peak, right? That's the mountain that you want to get back to. You climb that a little bit. 3 red zone touchdowns, 26 points, right? That's good. That's winning football from the offensive side of the ball. But they've played some really good defenses too, man. It's the Eagles, the Lions are no slouches. The Falcons defense is, I think, better than the Falcons offense. And they invest a lot of money on that side of the ball. There will be some opportunities here in the run game. The Bills, I think, have the 31st ranked rushing defense. They're without Matt Milano in the middle, and he's one of their big time linebackers. So there's going to be some opportunities to run the ball that haven't probably been there for the last couple of weeks, and we'll see if they can get their act together and have a little bit more balance. At the same time, Matt, you know what? I applaud Dave Canales for recognizing, and we said this yesterday, bears repeating, because y'all got to get this through your heads. This is a pass-first team. Mm-hmm. It's engineered that way. They're better in pass protection than they are in run blocking, right? And you've got a better quarterback than you have a running back. So you're going to play to your strengths. Your weapon number 1 is Mike Evans. Your weapon number 2 is Chris Godwin. It's not Rashad White. It's not Keyshawn Vaughn. So they're playing to their strengths. You got to do that to win games. And Dave Canales recognized that. They ran the ball 17 times, 17 called runs. They ended with 20 because there were 3 Baker Mayfield scrambles.
Yep.
Baker dropped back to pass 45 times. He threw the ball 42 of those. He scrambled 3 times. That's a 45 pass to 17 run ratio in a game that was close the entire way. Mm-hmm. Wasn't like they were ever in, we have to pass the ball mode to try to catch up. So Dave Canales has kind of got this figured out. We're going to have to pass the ball to win. The running game will develop as the season goes along and hopefully get better. That's where they are.
And the tough thing is the Bills are allowing an average of 128.3 yards per game. So it's definitely tantalizing to run the ball. But to your point, you do have to play to your strengths. We got a $2 super chat from Eric. Thanks again for the super chat, Eric, who says, here, I got it. I meant to say Thursday.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott and Matt. It's been a rough few weeks. One of my coworkers passed away. R.I.P.
Oh,
to
man.
Mike.
Sorry to hear that.
Very sorry to hear that, Eric. R.I.P. Mike. We'll play Dave Canales, some video from him today. Let's get to this first super chat, though, from Byron Turner. Thank you for the $5 super chat, who says, Eagles just gave up a 5th and 6th round picks 2024 to get the Titan safety. That's Kevin Byard. Is now the time for Light to go out and grab Rashad Penny with day 3 picks?
I say yes, but everything that I've heard tells me that they've done the homework there and that it's not going to happen, which is disappointing.
Yeah, because they have to. We said it. Well, you said it yesterday. Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. So,
yeah,
I don't think just playing Aaron Stinney or Nick Leverett because a player is injured is the definition of doing something different. You're doing it
right
because you have no other options. You can't play without a starting guard, on the offensive line. Yeah. So you have to do that, and that kind of brings us up to speed with something that you asked Dave Canales today. This is the second part of the video, but something that you suggested early on, and I fully agree with you, Scott, is something that the old Tampa Bay offense used to do, which is bringing in an extra tight end, but not Keefe, not Payne Durham, someone like that. Yep. Bringing in an extra offensive lineman to be that blocking tight end. Because let's face it, Keefe, all he does is block. He is not a receiving threat. We saw the first 2 passes of the season for the Bucs when they went up against the Minnesota Vikings, and they both went to Keefe. And if there was a more athletic receiving tight end, or really just anyone that can catch the football, probably ends up with a big play to begin the season. But, that's old news. So here's Dave Canales. He's answering one question, and then he answers Scott's question right after.
Kicking you right now. And, you had 1st and goal at the 8, trying to win a game.
Yeah.
3 straight passes. If you had more confidence in the run game there, are you calling those plays? Is the lack of the run game affecting your red zone right now?
For me, yes, but the way I see it is best opportunity to score. Where's Mike and Chris at? Trying to attack coverages. And we had plays designed to attack those, some near misses down there on both red zone opportunities, So really, again, it's just details in our route running, details in our throws and our reads. The last drive there, we got pressured a little bit, and Filer, was fighting through something there. He stayed in there. What a stud, to give us a chance to do that right there. So really appreciate him for that. But yeah, just the red zone production. We got to figure that out. And just do more things that complement the quarterback's skill set and those types of things.
Dave, with the struggles in the running game, I'm not sure if Seattle did this or not, but I know Goody and Gilbert here in years past, 2020, 2021, when they needed to get the running game going, they would substitute an extra offensive lineman in a tight end for the tight ends. And I don't think you're getting the run blocking that you need from the tight end position. Yeah. Is that a consideration for you to look at using an extra offensive lineman in to get some more beef to help the perimeter runs?
Yeah, going heavy is a good option that teams use at times. I think the style of runs that we're getting, our tight ends are doing what they're supposed to do. They're getting guys covered up, and we're not expecting Cade or Coe or Payne to really be those big mauler types of tight ends. I think there's only maybe a handful in the league, that you can really talk about. So the run schemes are really designed for them to just cover it up so the backs can read it and create space, But I think it's across the board. It's me, the rhythm and flow of when to call those runs, the styles of runs that we're calling, and then it's the guys just continuing to improve fundamental skills, and then also just the finish, the attitude and the finish that we're looking for going forward.
But are the tight ends really doing
what
they're supposed to do?
No, they're not. And that's the thing, folks. We ask the questions, right? And we ask the pointed, direct questions. Sometimes we don't get the answers we want to hear. And you know what? That's their prerogative, whether it's Dave Canales, whether it's Todd Bowles, whether it's Baker Mayfield, whoever we ask. We have to ask the questions, try to be as direct as possible, try to throw out some good suggestions, and it just doesn't work. So, it's a little frustrating, but I think he answered my question when he said some teams out there do that, right? Because the first part of the question was, I'm not sure if it is in Seattle, right? But I know in Tampa here, Harold Goodwin, Joe Gilbert, they used Joe Haig in 2020. They used Josh Wells as that extra big tight end in 2021. and they got some good results. So I'm trying to say, hey, your offensive line coaches are used to doing this. But what he said was, I know other teams in the league do that, and that tells me right away, well, Seattle didn't do it, and that's not part of Dave Canales' thought process. So, I'm not the OC. I just ask questions.
And Baker Mayfield had a very interesting response or answer to something about the run game. But then he kind of Tristan Wirfs let it slip before that Matt Filer's not playing. And Baker here was just kind of like, we know we're not a run team.
Right.
Quite interesting. So let's hear from the Bucs starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield.
At this point, what has happened, where you are, with a little bit of adversity, a couple of losses here, struggling a little bit to put points on the board, do you think that has helped you where you are right now?
Absolutely. I think any of the storms, and you learn how to grow through them and handle them when certain situations come. So for right now, it's, like we keep mentioning, just get our stuff fixed, be more detailed, fundamentally sound, and good things will happen. Because when you rewatch the losses, we've played good teams, but we haven't played our best. And so for us, it's about us playing our best ball and focusing on what we can control, and that's being fundamentally sound and doing our jobs. Being able to run the ball efficiently definitely helps. We've talked about how we need to be better. We all know that, but it's just little things here and there. Like we had a big run that was called back on a holding call. Some things that just, we're kind of learning that we're not going to be a run-first team, but we're still going to do it when we need to. And so those are the times that we have to be targeting the right spots. Everybody's got to have a hat on a hat and just get the job done when we need to. But when it comes down to it, it's just execution. Whatever play's called, we have to find a way to make it work.
Did you feel
a little open honesty from Baker?
It's refreshing. I mean, whether you like the answers or not, whether they're telling you what you want to hear, at least they're being pretty open about it. I mean, Dave Canales is pretty revealing. Tristan Wirfs, very revealing. Baker Mayfield, really revealing. Todd Bowles, not so much, but that's just his nature. I'll tell you what, he's very revealing off the record. That's for damn sure. But on the record, at press conferences and the podium, it's a different story. It's a different Todd Bowles than you get in a one-on-one, whatever. So there's that.
More super chats rolling in. Thank you, everybody. We'll start off with Paul, aka Florida Dreamhouse. Thanks again for another $2 super chat. Who says, "Will Keyshawn Vaughn be invited to the Pewter Report Christmas party?" Oh, well, he doesn't even show up to practice, so why would we expect him to come to a Christmas party?
Yeah, I want to say the only Buccaneer player that we've ever had at a Christmas party was Cam Brate one year. I think he came to one like many, many moons ago. I think Mark Cook invited him and he showed up, so it was just cool. We love Cam. Cam was great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's not his role, not to come to our Christmas party. It's a PR Christmas party, so the Pewter Reporters would be there. And that's it. We drink and we eat and we be merry and have a good time.
Yeah. Have a jolly old time, as they say. Let's go to T. Thank you, T, for the $5 super chat. Says, is it just me or are teams in general too precious with 6th and 7th round picks when it comes to trading? How often do teams hit on those picks anyway? Grant Stewart was the first one that came to mind, and he was a special teams guy. They ended up trading him to the Colts after, 1 or 2 seasons? So,
I'm just going to say, it's – I would love to see Jason Light get involved in more of this kind of bottom feeding, right? Trade away some of those lower picks. He kind of tends to do that anyways on draft day. Like he just screw it. We have like 2 7th rounders. Let's just move up in the 6th round and be done with the draft. And I'm okay with that. I would much rather see those late picks get moved than some of the running, or I should say the middle picks, right? Because I think those are, he's hit on some of those. I think Sebastian Dennis is going to be a really good one. Jake Camarda in the 4th round has been an absolute dynamite pick. I know it's not sexy to draft a punter, but Camarda's been really good. Zion McCollum, I think, is going to turn out to be a very, very good pick and probably one of his better trades when it's all said and done. We'll wait and see. Quan Alexander was another 4th round pick that, you got 3 years out of him as a starter. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, all I'll say, this kind of goes into the Rashad Penny type of thing, how it's a good idea. It's a good idea on the Bucs side of the things, but I also, if I'm the Eagles, sure, he's your 4th-string running back right now, but what happens if Swift gets injured?
That's right.
Or Boston Scott? It's that's the reason why you have depth, because you're not planning for week 1 that you're going to play your 4th-string running back. By by week 10, week 15, you might need Rashad Penny. So, like from the Eagles, I don't necessarily know if I would. Oh, yeah, we got a 7th-round pick, but we're going to lose Rashad Penny.
Brock Purdy was not in the 49ers' plans at all last year until he had to be, right? I mean, it's just how it was. And then they wish they had another Brock Purdy after him because when he got hurt, they had nobody, right? So, yes, depth is critically important. That's why when the Buccaneers were making their run, they did sign Antonio Brown at midseason. Jason Light was looking to add depth. He wasn't looking to trade anybody away. And he had calls too, right? Because the Bucs were flush with talent, a lot of positions. He said, nope, I'm keeping my talent because we might need him. You never know when your starting guard's going to go down like Alex Kappa, and you have to have an Aaron Stendy to step in and get the job done. Pat Rocca with an interesting comment here. Today, Canales said Keyshawn Vaughn running well. This is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, like our offense running into the middle. Yes.
He did give a specific of that 9-yard run that Keyshawn Vaughn
Okay,
had.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah. What's the average,
Canales no, I'm with you. I'm just
I know. Canales is really trying to shield the tight ends from criticism with that comment about their blocking. At least he has their back. I just wish the tight ends and the running backs in the game. Listen, folks, coach speak is part of the job, right? And it's the Bruce Arians of the world are rare. Okay, you're not going to see, like today. I tried to get Larry Foote to say that Devin White had a bad game, and he would not take the cheese. Yeah, he would not take the bait. Devin White had a really, really bad game. And Larry Foote did his absolute best to tiptoe around that question and not really answer it. So that's to be expected. We have to ask the questions. Sometimes we'll ask a more pointed follow-up, and we got to take what they give us, right? Just like we're playing quarterback, Matt, right? We got to take what the defense gives us, right? They're giving us the underneath stuff. We got to take it, and that's how you make your yards.
And in your defense, it wasn't like your question was, why is Devin White playing bad? Like you
right.
Well with the Falcons ran the ball 38 times, 150 yards. Lavonte David had double-digit sacks. Devin White had 5.
Tackles,
tackles. Yeah. 13 sacks in a game would be insane.
They'd welcome it, yes.
Adam P. Park says, injuries to Devin White truly show I can't read, that he is too reliant on his physical ability to be successful. He disappears from games when hurt. I mean, that kind of goes back to the Eagles game. He had a gift of an interception and unfortunately wasn't able to take it to the crib, where a full speed Devin White gets a pick 6 against the Eagles. And that would change a lot in that game. Cause I can't remember now if Baker threw a pick not long after that, but again, momentum. Pick 6 clearly is momentum. We got a couple super chats from Corey Richardson. Thanks, Corey, for 2 straight $4.99 super chats. Corey says JTS is getting a lot of flack, and I get it, but he's year 3, and Sunday he did have 2 tackles for loss with 6 tackles, so he's at least active. 45, has just been bad.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, he's not a bad player. It just you'd feel much better if you drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round for how he's playing and his ceiling, where it's at, which is not that high, and the trajectory of his career. It's a slow climb. And Joe's a great guy. I like Joe. I think Joe's one of those guys that you're kind of like waiting, like, okay, like had that breakout game, and then like, oh, okay, he had a really good game against the Bears, and then like, where's the follow-up, right? Like, and that's the frustrating thing, because he has all the talent in the world to do it, but I don't know that he is a very instinctive pass rusher. I think he is an athlete. I think he's a tremendously athletic guy playing football rather than a football player. And here's the difference. The difference is Antoine Winfield is a football player. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is an athlete playing football. And I don't mean that as a disrespect to JTS. It just a knack for making plays, instincts, intangibles. Those are things that Antoine Winfield has. And that's not what JTS has. And I think Devin White is closer to JTS than he is Antoine Winfield Jr., and that's a shame, because I mean, this is year 5 for Devin. He's in a contract year, and man, he is not earning the bread.
Put it this way, if Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and I guess you could say it for Devin White too, if they were like 3rd round picks, you'd be like, wow, nice job, Jason.
For the value, right?
You drafted a guy in the 3rd round that is an every game starter. And yeah, maybe not the best player, but for that value, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And all this talk about value, and we talked a lot about depth. It just reminds me about how much great depth that Celsius has as an energy drink, because there's so many awesome flavors, as you can see on the screen. The tropical vibe, the sparkling orange, the sparkling wild berry, strawberry acai. I'm a big fan of the strawberry lemonade as well. And the Arctic vibe is my personal favorite. There's no sugar. There's no post-energy drink crash or jitters that you may get with another product out there. So if you need to know where to find Celsius, we got you covered. Just go to the store locator on the Celsius website, punch in your address, and it'll tell you the closest geographical location where you can find one. We've been in multiple places, and we have found Celsius thanks to the store locator.
Bodega. Sorry, that was a false start. My bad.
What are you, the Bucs offensive line?
I know. I need to be
more
more
the Bucs wide receivers or the Bucs tight ends, because they all went offside.
Exactly. I need to be more disciplined during the Celsius read. Continue, Matt. Sorry.
But you can find them at your Walmart, health and fitness store, or those other things that you just heard Scott say.
Bodega.
And once you love going to your bodegas, getting them, but you're like, I want more. I want them in bulk. You can get them in bulk. I'd recommend getting the variety pack. Varieties the spice of life. You could have it sent to your residence whenever you want. It could be a week, month, quarterly, yearly. You're in charge. Your decision. Just make Celsius your number one pick. Celsius, the official energy drink of the Pewter Report podcast.
Yep. Yeah. So I want to see JTS really kind of be the guy. It's funny because I thought Yaya. Sorry, let me try that again. I thought Yaya Diaby was going to get his first sack of the year, and it didn't quite happen. But he did have a nice fumble recovery.
He did,
and I saw him today in the locker room. Here's the thing: this is kind of what's crazy, right? And muscles don't mean anything. They really don't. I mean, believe it or not, but the Buccaneers, when you look back at some of their best players, they don't fit the prototype. I mean, you're talking about some of the absolute greatest Buccaneers of all time. Rondé Barber looks undersized. Like, you look at him, you're like, wow, you're really small. Sorry, Rondé, I love you, but like, that's the truth. Derek Brooks, when you see him in street clothes, even in his prime, like walking down the street, like, did not look like a football player. Warren Sapp, just kind of like big fat guy, right? Super athletic, strong, but like didn't look the part, right?
Yeah.
Mike Allstott, right? Big slow white dude, right? Big thick thighs, didn't look fast at all. Warwick Dunn, little pipsqueak, but like, those guys are football players, right? I mean, they just, John Lynch, kind of bow-legged, dude out there. But man, they played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys were football players, legends that didn't like look the part in terms of the physique and all that. You're not supposed to get bigger during the season. You're supposed to like kind of lose weight, right? The off season where you put the mass on. Yaya Diaby, man, like, he just looks like he's gained like 10 pounds of muscle. It's like the guy just like lives in the weight room. He's a force to be reckoned with. And the one thing is, sometimes the physique, the muscles, that doesn't translate, but that dude has power. Right now, he is the most powerful edge rusher, more so than Anthony Nelson, JTS, Shaq, whatever. This dude has some power. He's a guy that when he really starts to get it and puts it all together, look out. He's going to be really good.
I've said this before. Not too long ago, I was having a conversation with him in the locker room, and we fist bumped after. And I felt like I had punched a giant rock, like just with his hand. Like, his hands are gigantic. And I hope he starts getting more playing time. He actually had more snaps and snap percentages than Anthony Nelson last game. Now, maybe some of that was because Anthony Nelson was just coming back from a concussion. But if he's already kind of moving up the ranks a little bit, Anthony Nelson is a player that the Bucs re-signed that we know is a very, very solid outside linebacker 3. If JTS continues, and he has made some plays, but Bucs are still looking for the splash plays from their outside linebackers. They got it from Shaq Barrett at the end of the second quarter yesterday, but they've been a little bit too far and between for, I think, everyone's liking, not just my own. Why not give Yaya a couple more opportunities? I mean, Todd Bowles says all the times with young players, with rookies, he usually calls them young pups or whatever it is.
Right.
He says every single year a team wins a Super Bowl and they have a bunch of rookies on.
That's right.
Eventually, at some point, they have to start playing. And I think that would be a nice little tweak to this defense that I don't think ultimately it would only change this defense and make it a little bit better. And it's already pretty damn good. And again, if Yaya proves that he's a liability stopping the run, or he's getting stonewalled even worse than Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, then you just go back to JTS at outside linebacker. It's simple tweaking and simple solutions.
I'm with you. Robbie Gordon, frustrating seeing your favorite team being mid, not bad enough for a top draft pick and not good enough to compete for a championship. I understand that. You can't win it every year. Even the New England Patriots at some point in time, when Tom Brady leaves, come crashing down to earth 20 years later, right? We told you guys, you got to readjust your expectations. Matt picked this team to go, 9-8 this year? Right?
8-9.
8-9. Okay. And I picked 9-8. And I got a feeling one of us is going to be right. And right now I'm leaning more towards Matt because I had this Falcons game as a win. They got to steal one in Atlanta now and probably, get back on track. But 8-9, 9-8, still probably, I think, going to be in the NFC South hunt all the way down through the wire. I still think they can win this division. That's still there for them. It's a rebuilding year. You got to remember, too, on this offensive line that's been completely reshuffled. Ali Marpet technically was still supposed to be under contract, right? Ryan Jensen is under contract. Those were two guys that the Buccaneers were supposed to have, right? Two Pro Bowl offensive linemen that have not been here for the past 2 years, right? And that retards, that impedes your progress, that slows down your growth, because now all of a sudden you got to put more resources into positions that you thought were bolstered, right? Well, hey, we got two Pro Bowlers here. Offensive line's fine. We'll move Donovan out. We'll kick Tristan over. Now we'll draft a guy in Cody Mauch. Now you've got Tristan and Ali Marpet and Ryan Jensen and Cody Mauch and Luke Gedeke. That's a hell of a lot better offensive line than what they have now. Mm-hmm. But that's not Todd Bowles' fault. That's not Jason Light's fault, right? That's just circumstance. Injuries happen. So this year's draft, though, I think it's going to be – the problem is it's not flush in running backs. It's not flush in tight ends, and they need both. Yeah. So that's the thing. But long way to go before we start talking about the draft now. This team's only 3-3, 11 games to play, 1-1 in the division. Don't panic yet.
Yeah, it just makes, again, I don't want to look too far ahead, so real quick, I'll just say, I mean, are we looking at next season more new pieces to the offensive line because Matt Filer probably not going to be back, and then we'll see what happens with Robert Hainsey. I think, again, a lot of us are in agreement that they could use an upgrade at the center position if Ryan Jensen's career is done, but that's a conversation for the offseason, or at least later on in this season.
Well, and the one thing, too, just hang on your point there for a second, Matt. And I did a Pewter Pulse on this the other day, and some people got it. It took off. It got a lot of views about Jason Light's done it again. It's so hard to find two offensive tackles, and you need two in this day and age. It used to be if you had the one left tackle, you're fine. The pass rush is so good. You need a stud right tackle as well. It's not just find the left tackle, find the Paul Gruber, right, find the Donald Penn, and make do on the other side. You need two, and they're harder to find than guards and centers. And he's found two, and you got Gedeke for 2 more years under this contract, and then you've got Wirfs who's going to get the contract extension, and it's like that's a little bit of peace of mind right there. When you got a pair of bookend tackles, it's easier to find the interior guys and reshuffle the deck there than it is to go out and find a tackle. And so at least there's that going forward for this team.
And they can continue their show. I think it's called Between Two Tackles or On the Other End, and it's Tristan and Luke Gedeke, so they can continue that. It's not exactly, what was it, Tommy and Gronky, that show?
Right, yeah.
Regardless. T with the good comment, is Lavonte the Brady of the defense? Is he even aging?
Oh, my God.
I mean, he looks better this season than I think he has the last two. I mean, he had a sack 2 weeks ago against the Lions. Great coverage on the tight ends, and they've played some talented tight ends over the last 2 weeks. So I mean, Lavonte David, it's up to him whether or not he wants to keep playing, but he deserves to be back on the Bucs more than Devin White does.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt, man. That's a great point that you make. And you know what? Rondé Barber, we saw him play 16 years at a very high level, right? I mean, I think he still had 3 interceptions playing free safety the final year under which was the first year under Greg Schiano, right? And he enjoyed playing under Schiano, learning a different position. It kind of challenged him mentally. And Rondé's one of the most cerebral, high football IQ guys ever, not just in Tampa Bay, but in the league. Yeah, man. I mean, Lavonte David, 13 tackles on Sunday. And I went up to him today in the locker room. I was like, dude, like, again? Like, we were praising you for the hella good game you had against the Lions. And, like, you do it again, man, at your age. And he looked at me like, that's what I do, man. I'm like, I know it's what you do, but also 33 years old, man. It's just, it's been a joy to see because he is just so good, man. He's so good. You know?
Yeah, and they're going to need a huge game going up against Josh Allen and this Bills offense, which this Bills team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, like defense, I think the big story for the Bills defense, when they're fully healthy, they are a tough group, and I would say like a top 10 defense, but they've been littered with injuries, like even worse than the Bucs have this season.
That's right.
I think that's why you've seen the Bills really come crashing down to earth the past couple of weeks. But this offense is so interesting because, even with the big injury to Dawson Knox, Stefon Diggs is a premier wide receiver in this league. I like Gabe Davis as well as a wide receiver. And Josh Allen, while having a bit of a down year, is still, a top 5 quarterback in this league. And I think this is one of those games again, and we'll probably say this for the next couple of weeks, but the defense is still going to have to lead the way.
It is
if they want to win a game until the offense really figures it out. Now, when will the offense figure it out? We don't know just yet. So the Bucs, I don't want to say that they got to hope and pray, but Josh Allen at times, because the Bills have never really had the best running game. It's been better this year with James Cook when they've fully just allowed him to be the RB1 of the team, but they do have a rotation. Yeah. Josh Allen, for as great as he is, can sometimes get in his own way. Like he loves to extend plays, and it's going to be very difficult to take Josh Allen down. But there are times when he extends the plays. That's when he makes the dumb throw, or he tries to do this, or he tries to do that. So as great as Josh Allen can be, at times he can really be his own worst enemy. And I think the Bucs got to make sure that they get Josh Allen into those moments. And maybe it's the blitzes from Lavonte or Antoine, where Josh Allen panics a little bit and plays that superhero ball and, makes some mistakes because of it, because he is very susceptible to it. He tries to do everything for the Bills, and the thing is, he just can't. And you hope that you get that panicky Josh Allen that has been quite visible this season.
Yeah, last time he played against the Buccaneers, he had 100 yards of rushing too, and a rushing touchdown, right? So he knows there's going to be opportunities there, and he saw Desmond Ridder break off, a 19-yard run and have several scrambles and make some plays with his legs.
Had a rushing touchdown as well.
A rushing touchdown, should have had 2, right?
Yeah.
You're right, Matt. And this is a Bills offense, right? Let's go through the games here, and I'm sorry to start off with this one, but against the New York Jets, that's where
that was a win.
Well, it was for you guys, but you lost Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, though, scored just 16 points, lost in overtime. Then they just turned it on, right? The Bills just got back to wearing the Superman cape, and the Bills became the Bills again. 38-10 against the Raiders, 37-3 against the Commodes, 48-20 against the Miami Dolphins. That was their signature win of the season. And then for whatever reason, the wheels just kind of fell off the wagon, right? They lost at home to Jacksonville. That was a bad loss, 25-20.
Yeah.
Then the points kind of became a little bit harder to find. They beat a really, really, I think, bad New York Giants team 14-9. And then they lost last week on the road at New England, 29-25 to the Patriots, allowed the Patriots to come back, and Mac Jones scored a touchdown. So they've lost 2 out of their last 3, and they've suffered some injuries. Matt Milano's out, right? Tre'Davious White is out. Von Miller, they have not really had him to start the season. He played a little bit against Jacksonville, had 1 tackle. He's on the injury report now. they're missing some mojo this year. Dalton Kincaid, he's taken over a tight end. He had 75 yards last week. He's been a player that is going to have to step up now as a rookie. The Bucs just faced a rookie tight end, Sam Laporta. This guy is probably in the same class, just as good, very capable tight end. But you're right. It's the defense has not been nearly as stout. Injuries have been a culprit. They've caused some problems there. They still have a really good 1-2 punch safety, right? Yeah. And Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. They're no spring chickens anymore. I don't think they're as dynamic of playmakers as they used to be. They're kind of like in that Tyrann Mathieu mode now for the Saints, right? Like where you're a name player, but you were better back in the day than you are right now, right? You have a chance to be in your prime, but you're kind of like sliding down that hill a little bit. Still formidable foes. I'm not throwing them under the bus, but just not those big time impact players that they used to be. They are getting a lot of impact from one of their key free agent signings, Leonard Floyd. He leads them with what 6.5 sacks this year. And boy, had they needed that because they haven't had Von Miller to start the season. At Gregory Rousseau, it's a nice 1-2 punch to them, so they have some edge rushers. They've got Ed Oliver in the middle, and I think that's a player that when you look at Kalijah Kancey, I think his career is going to be kind of in between what Ed Oliver is and what Aaron Donald is, and hopefully closer to Donald than Ed Oliver, who's a quick, twitchy, undersized defensive tackle like Kalijah, but is better against the run than he is as a pass rusher. But their big guy that's really making some noise is Terrell Bernard. Yeah, their inside linebacker. This guy leads the team and the league in tackles this year. He is having a really good season for them. Terrell Bernard, 68 tackles on the year already, 2 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. He's great in coverage, 2 passes defense, 2 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries. He's just kind of that guy that they lost Matt Milano, who was kind of one of their big playmakers. He also had a couple picks this year before he got injured, forced a fumble. But man, this guy's really stepped up for them on that linebacker level, and he's a difference maker.
Yeah, he really is. And we talked about how there's so many injuries for the Buffalo Bills, but then they just have a couple other guys that have really stepped up in this role and at least make the Bills dangerous on paper. And, you could have said the same thing about the 49ers against the Vikings. And I don't know how the Vikings are going to move the ball without Justin Jefferson. And then, bam, Kirk Cousins lit it up for, over 300 yards. So it's going to be important for the Bucs. If they struggle again with the run game, where do they find answers in the passing game? You just mentioned how good Bernard is as a middle linebacker. Maybe you attack some of those other linebackers because we talked about how great the safeties are. Their pass rush, they still got guys up the middle. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that intermediate pass game from the Bucs that I feel like they've kind of gone away from the last 2 weeks, trying to hit bigger shots. And that's something that Dave Canales talked about a little bit in terms of Coach Bowles wants us to be aggressive, so we're trying to take our shots. And that's fine, but when you're not hitting those shots, you got to go back to the drawing board just a little bit. Like, I don't know. I feel like we haven't seen as many. We've seen Baker Mayfield scramble, but what happened to the signature of a Dave Canales offense is the play action, bootlegs, rollouts, and everything like that. Where has that been over the past couple of weeks? Because I feel like that has been.
I agree. That's a great point.
There's been very few and far between, but that's something that we saw every single freaking day at training camp, and then just kind of disappeared for.
And Luke Gedeke is playing great at right tackle. So it's not like, wow, you can't roll him out. You roll him into a sack. I mean, Gedeke's pass protection has been really solid. He was the highest graded offensive player on Sunday for the Buccaneers, according to Pro Football Focus. Take it with a grain of salt. But he had a better grade than Tristan Wirfs, and I think he played a better game than Tristan Wirfs did.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, too. We got a super chat from David Stacks. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat, who says, Antoine Winfield Jr. addressed the team after Atlanta lost. Thoughts? Well, why don't we just play? Yeah, let's get to the video. You can hear from Baker Mayfield was the one that tipped us off all to it.
Thanks,
and then Winfield mentioned it as well, and Tristan Wirfs spoke about it too. So let's hear about Antoine Winfield Jr.'s big-time speech after their last game.
It is because, like I've mentioned, we're looking at the mistakes that we've made. It's things that we can control. Yeah. It's not like we're just lining up and getting beat scheme-wise or just physically. So it's for us, it's control what we can, fix those things, and see where this thing can go. And that's the accountability part that, Antoine Winfield hit it on the head after the game. Just how great do you want to be? And so we have a ton of leaders on this team, a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball. So let's do our jobs first and see where this thing goes.
So Antoine spoke to the team after the game, you mean?
He did. He's a key leader that obviously a ton of big plays in that game, and it's been consistent obviously here for a while. And those guys we have to lean on and follow that leadership, and everybody else has to fall in line.
Yeah, just that we got to close those games out. We got to play better, and we got to win those close games like that. And that was pretty much summarizing. Yeah, I feel like I'm a man of a few words, but when I say something, I really mean it.
Yeah, Antoine pretty much told us, he's like, how good we want to be. It's up to us to write our own story. Our destiny's in front of us. We got to go and take it. But it's up to us. Up to the guys in this locker room. And it's really cool coming from Antoine. We all know how incredible a player he is. That play they made on the goal line, that's insane. So coming from him, everyone listens. All eyes are on him. It was really cool.
He's not a guy.
I think so, because you got a real bitter taste in your mouth, especially coming right up the field in the locker room and having him, stand up and be like, hey, listen up, and say that is really, really huge.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Buck Nation, any chance we can steal a win in Buffalo? Yes, there is a chance. Yeah, I think the key is, Matt, is getting off to hotter starts, right? Get a touchdown opening drive, get a lead, right? That's one thing the Buccaneers haven't really done a great job of this year.
Yeah,
is getting an early lead, and it's interesting. I asked Baker today about, maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. You guys are 2-0 on the road. You're 1-3 at home. We're going to find out if there's any road mojo for this team, if they can go 3-0. But yeah, this is the NFL. On any given Sunday or Thursday, any team can win. And we've seen plenty of upsets. 49ers getting rolled by the Browns, 49ers getting rolled by the Vikings.
Patriots over the Bills on
Patriots
Sunday.
over the Bills. Yeah, it's there is a chance, but for Tampa Bay, it's like Todd Bowles has said, and nobody wants to hear it, but it's true. Can't beat yourself and the Bills at the same time. You've got to play clean football, right? That's what allowed you to get that early season road win in Minnesota. 3 takeaways, no turnovers, hardly any penalties, execution, precision, etc. And granted, yes, the Vikings didn't have any film on the Buccaneers. Now we're 6 games in, and teams have got some film on this Dave Canales offense. Now there's got to be some tweaks in all this. But Matt, if they start fast, which has been a struggle, but if they start fast, then I think there is a chance. If they don't, though, I don't see how the Buccaneers are going to come back and beat the Bills.
And I also I think it goes without question the Bucs offense needs to start fast, and they just need to play better as an entire unit, whether it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter. Yeah. I also think it's important for the Bucs defense to start fast because as great as they've been, there have been times if you're going to get to the Bucs defense, it's early in the game.
That's right.
On Sunday, Bucs went for it on 4th down when they got the ball first. They didn't convert. The Falcons had pretty good field position, and they scored a touchdown on their own.
Right down the field on the defense, yeah.
Chicago Bears in week 2, the lowly Chicago Bears scored on their first drive against the Bucs defense. It doesn't happen every single week, but there have been times where the Bucs defense has gotten off to a little bit of a slow start, and quite frankly, on a Thursday night game on the road against Buffalo, who can be great, even though they've struggled lately, they really can't afford to go down by more than 1 score against Buffalo because if Buffalo starts getting their swagger back, even just a little bit, and that crowd gets into it, it'll be even tougher for the Bucs.
Only 2 games, right, on the road so far, and it's a very small sample size, so this is not scientific whatsoever. But this team has scored 20 points and 26 points. That's a lot more points than they've scored at home, certainly in the last 2 games. 6 points? Then you have 11 points against the Eagles. Then you had 13 points last week. So we'll see if there's a little bit of road mojo for this team.
Yeah, maybe they're not too happy about it. We got one more video from Dave Canales. He was saying how he told us guys we should be frustrated right now.
I think he said it best. I think that we have the cool part is we've created an expectation for what we can be offensively, and I think that we have the talent and the ability to do that. I know I can do better for the guys in situations. They know they can do better for all of us in certain situations. And so I think it's a group of guys that see the potential of what we can be. And I would rather live in that world than to buy into some other world of, oh, we just don't have this or we just don't have that. I don't really feel like that at all. Coach Bowles doesn't feel like that at all. The guys expect to do really well. And, of course, that's part of me just motivating them and showing them, proving it to them on film. Guys, look, we have this here. We have these opportunities and this opportunity. But yeah, it gets frustrating, when we can't get in the end zone, when in a game where we do well on third down and we're moving the ball pretty good, at times there, and of course the penalties hurt us. But we overcame a lot of those penalties, even when we got behind in the sticks, we made some big plays to get us back to manageable third downs, and we're able to convert some of those. So, yeah, I think we're all a little bit frustrated, but at the same time, just encouraging them, we should feel frustrated, guys. We should feel like there's more out there for us, because there is. So I think it comes from the expectation we're creating.
I'll tell you what, you can be frustrated all you want in this housing market, right? 8% interest rates, trying to find that right house for you and your family. Listen, it doesn't have to be that way, though. Call on our Pro Bowler. That is Eric Gross and the Eric Gross Group. They're the official realtors of Pewter Report, and they will take the frustration out of the home buying experience for you. It takes a full team effort to win in football as well as real estate. The Eric Gross Group, they've done hundreds of transactions in this crazy real estate market with experience in all sorts of situations. Eric is an avid Pewter Report reader and a Tampa native. He knows this area like the back of his hand. With a strong team of vendors and a network of 85,000 agents, the Eric Gross Group will turn your dream of buying or selling a home into reality without the frustration. Their clients are not just transactions, they're lifelong friendships. Do what I do. Go to housesinfla.com. Check out their inventory. It's a great website, awesome layout, and let Eric take the pressure off of the home buying or selling experience. Find him on Facebook or Instagram at Eric Gross Group, and also housesinfla.com, or give Eric a call, 513-907-4271. No matter where you are in your homeownership journey, you're going to feel welcome with the Eric Gross Group, the official realtor of Pewter Report.
By the way, if you want to bet on this game, do it over at mybookie.ag. Use that promo code Pewter, P-E-W-T-E-R. If you want to wait until Thursday, you got a Game 7 baseball game tonight for the NL teams to go to the World Series. Basketball starts tonight. Get a first deposit bonus all the way up to $200 and as little as $45. So you're getting free money in your account. Even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that is a heck of a deal. So go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code Pewter, P-E-W-T-E-R, and start winning some moolah.
Yep. Folks, it's been a different week. It's been a short week. I'm excited for Thursday Night Football. Usually I'm not. We were talking about this today at the team's training facility. I feel bad for the players, right? Having to have the car wreck on Sunday, then another car wreck on Thursday, because that's what it feels like when you play football. It feels like you got in a car wreck. But the great thing is more football, right? Get this bad taste out of your system, Buccaneers, and get after it again on Thursday. Try to take advantage of maybe a Bills team that's having some confidence issues after that loss. We'll see what happens, but no podcast tomorrow. Taking tomorrow off because the team is traveling. Stay tuned to pewterreport.com. That we have previews galore, plus our Pewter preview and predictions are going to be out. Matt's going to be out of practice tomorrow with the latest injury update.
Yep.
And then Thursday is the game. And Thursday night, we'll have the next Pewter Report podcast. It'll be our post-game, our typical day after game podcast on Friday. Mm-hmm. Matt and Adam Slavon will be doing that on Friday at 4 o'clock. So no podcast tomorrow, but join us after the game on Thursday night, plus Friday at 4 o'clock, Matt.
Yeah, and we'll have the Pewter Game Day show as well, giving our live reactions and analysis to everything that's going on in the game.
Yep.
But in the meantime, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms, on X, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And then, of course, our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV, where we have the podcast. We have a lot more film breakdown that Josh Capo has been doing.
It's a great video. I just put it in the chat, so it's the very first thing in the chat.
Awesome. Yes, check that out. Scott has his Pewter Pulses. So a ton of great content over on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Help grow our audience over at pewterreport.com. But that's going to do it for us on today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on Thursday for Game Day and another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Peace out.
Out.